After meeting together in order to deliberate and decide, the committee has resolved to grant the BBVA Foundation Frontiers of Knowledge Award in Information and Communication Technologies category in its 14th edition to Professor Judea Pearl. In everyday lives, people constantly make decisions amidst uncertainty by considering outcome likelihoods and also by applying concepts of cause and effect. Prior to the work of Judea Pearl, such intuitive approaches were very difficult to encode in digital computer systems, limiting how well computer algorithms could sift through large amounts of real-world data and discern together whether two observations were consequential or simply coincident. By laying a mathematical foundation, first for concepts of probabilistic reasoning, and later for how to infer causal relationships through observed and ordered data, Pearl's work constructed a framework not only for computer-based thought, but indeed for entire fields of scientific study spanning computer science, mathematics, and statistics, epidemiology and health, and the social sciences. Pearl's work in probabilistic reasoning introduced the concept of a Bayesian network, a representation of events and their likelihood of occurrence. Such graphs enabled simple and graphical articulations of highly complex event networks and their probabilistic relationships, which enabled computers to solve real-world scenarios, discover latent dependencies, and predict outcomes through the propagation of probabilities. Bayesian networks have become intuitive, precise, and widely used tools for decision-making under uncertainty. Causal Calculus, introduced by Pearl in his book Causality, provided a formal framework for reasoning about the assumptions under which causal relationships can be inferred from data. Practically speaking, this enables us to understand how to predict the effect of interventions and outcomes. By precisely characterizing confounding variables, the proposing methods for their derivation from data, Pearl developed a mathematical language for distinguishing between causal relations and spurious correlations. Beyond its broader impact across science and engineering, this formulation is playing a critical role in current research in fairness in machine learning algorithms. The breadth and depth of Pearl's interdisciplinary impact extends far beyond the fields of statistics and artificial intelligence. Not only did Pearl's mathematical and conceptual tools bring a modern foundation to artificial intelligence, they have completely changed the way uncertainty and causality are treated in the sciences, for example, in the development of fair and effective medical clinical trials. Other examples spanning psychology, robotics, and biology abound. Pearl's method are taught to nearly every undergraduate student in computer and data science today, and his own books have inspired sweeping advancements across our understanding of reasoning and thought.
The jury has granted you this award for providing a modern foundation to artificial intelligence. Could you explain what your research has contributed to the field of AI that did not exist before, and why has it been so important for the development of intelligent machines?
Yeah, I think the title Modern Foundation may be quite fitting here. If by modern foundation we mean a scientific approach to AI, and by that I mean that we start with a model of reality, and we ask ourselves, what should the world be like in order for our procedure to succeed, or in order for our procedure to answer sophisticated questions about reality. So what has been accomplished in the past 3 decades is the development of a language in which we can describe what we know about the world and what we want to ask about the world. And it is strange that it took so long for this language to develop. But right now, we can answer questions of 3 important levels. One is a prediction. Second, the effect of actions and intervention. And the third one, explanation. Why things happened the way they did, and what would have happened had things not occurred as they did. So this 3 level of sophistication is what the language now captures, and that is what we mean by an understanding.
What has your work specifically contributed to probabilistic reasoning in AI, and how has it provided, in the words of the jury, tools for decision-making under uncertainty?
Well, uncertainty is a commodity that prevails in everyday decision-making, even crossing the street or taking aspirin or speaking with your friend. And we had quite a hard time in computer science to enable a computer to deal with the barrage of noise and uncertain information that one has about the world, to come out with a conclusion which is a coherent result of all the clues that one gets in ordinary operation. So my work has developed a calculus for probabilistic reason that allows a computer to handle all the noisy information that it gets, put them together, and come out with a probability about the conclusions.
In what ways has your research made it possible for computers to infer causal relationships in data, and what applications do you foresee for this key contribution of your work?
Well, causal relationship has been a very tough obstacle for both man and machine to handle, because we do not have the language to capture the idea that the rooster crow does not cause the sun to rise, even though it comes before the sunrise and it constantly predicts the sunrise. Okay? So as in the language we have fumbles such as the name malaria. It comes from mal air, bad air, when generation of people believed that smelling the air from swamps is causing the disease. So this is kind of mistake that we made because of our inability to properly process cause-effect clues we get from the environment. Now we have a language for doing that. So we can insert our knowledge that we have about the world and infer coherently, like we do in algebra, infer the conclusion, and the conclusion is proven to be correct if the assumptions are correct. The applications are enormous. The application goes from personalized medicine to putting together handling of epidemic like COVID, putting together variety of information source coming from various hospitals, from various countries, and coming out with a coherent conclusion based on the evidence that we have.
Looking into the future, how do you view the future of artificial intelligence? Do you foresee that they may even surpass human intelligence, and should this be a cause for concern?
Of course, there is a cause for concern, and of course, computers will do eventually everything that human being can do, and much better because of the speed and the capacity. There is room for concern, and we have to manage the possibilities or prevent the possibilities that intelligent computer will get out of control. But I like to use the metaphor of bringing and educating your children. The computer should be looked upon as a new generation of children that we train, that we bring up, that we educate, with the hope that they will conform to the value system of their parents and their teachers. Okay? So there is room for concern. We have to make sure that they don't exceed and become wild, but at the same time we have at least one metaphor that tells us it is dangerous, but it's doable. We can program organisms to follow the value system of their creators.